Here we go again, with our debt still going off the charts. A push to spend even more of your tax dollars is back on. President Obama calling for $56 billion in new spending on everything from more green initiatives to new manufacturing institutes. This on the heels of some Republicans helping to hike the debt limit. So what part of we're broke doesn't Washington understand? Hi, everyone. I'm Brenda Butner. This is Bulls and Bears. Here they are, the Bulls and Bears this week. Gary B. Smith, Tracy Burns, Jonas Max Ferris, John Layfield, along with Chuck Rocha. Welcome to everybody. Okay, John, can we afford more spending?
No, we can't. We've got to shut this down at some point. Nobody is coming up with a balanced budget. Look, Erskine Bowles came out, and before their study even came out, the president and the Republicans both debunked it and said they didn't like it. They hadn't even seen it yet. These guys do not want to cut spending. They don't want to cut entitlements. We are going at a rate. We were at $5.5 trillion of deficit, national debt in 2000. We're at $10 trillion in 2008. We're going to double it again by 2016. We're doubling our debt every 8 years, and there's no entitlement reform in place. I thought raising taxes on the rich was supposed to cure everybody's ills and we all got free pizza. Look, if rates go back up to 5-6%, we are in significant trouble. We have got to rein this in at some point.
Okay, Chuck, $17 trillion in debt. Can we afford to spend on top of that?
Look, the American people want results. And do we have a debt problem? Absolutely. But the problem is not today. And it's kind of to John's point. We've had a problem all along when we had a Medicare Part D or we had an unfunded war. The Congress has been writing checks. We ain't had no money in the bank. But I'll let them bankrupt the American worker on this back end. We need to make sure that everybody pays their fair share. But we also should always keep our debt in mind.
But Gary B., haven't we seen this movie before? I mean, job initiatives, manufacturing institutes, green spending, it didn't work.
Exactly, Brenda. You know, Chuck mentioned the American people want results. I agree they want results. Unfortunately, as you imply, the U.S. government hasn't given those results. The big programs that they have, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, are filled with fraud and over budget. Then you have other things where they waste money like Amtrak, which loses money every day. They can't even make money with a virtual monopoly in the U.S. Postal Service. Big projects by the government are inherently loaded with pork and bloat and high government pensions. They just don't work. So if I give $1 to the government, it comes back to me in the form of about 80 cents or so. Add that to the statistics that John gave us, running up a debt that we can't pay. My gosh, we'll be spending $800 billion a year just on interest payments alone. This madness has to stop. It's a pox, by the way, on both parties.
No, that's true. That both aisles are definitely at fault here. Tracy, what do you think?
I mean, you know, to Gary's point, name me an initiative that has worked, Brenda, right? Help for homeowners, not so much. Cash for clunkers. Find me a shovel-ready project that was actually shovel-ready or that was even completed. I mean, nothing is working that they've done. So why not just let corporate America finally take the reins themselves and do this on their own? Unless, of course, they're going to start funding the pothole repairs here in New York City. Stay the hell out of business.
I think we'll all support that. Chuck, so $56 billion. Can we afford it?
No, we can't afford it, but also we can't afford to put any more burden on our working poor or on the working people who are paying the majority of the taxes as we go forward. As the American people, and I do politics for a living, they want to see clear results, but they don't want to see the burden shifted to one class or another, but they don't want to see people who are working every single day having to pay all the bills when the people who are rich, who can afford tax loopholes, can get through this.
How do these initiatives help? We're talking about green spending, more efficiency, manufacturing initiatives. That doesn't.
Well, it seems like to me that manufacturing initiative would be good at bringing manufacturing jobs back here instead of shifting the blame and moving all of those jobs overseas. If we can invest a little bit here.
But manufacturing's dead, Chuck. What are we doing?
If manufacturing is dead, then American people are dead.
Like, come on now.
Don't tell the American people that manufacturing is dead, because if we don't bring manufacturing back, that's fine.
You know what?
You will turn your back on the American people, then we're never going to be able to produce anything in America.
You're not turning turning your back on people who used to make horseshoes.
You're saying you turn the back on them. The American people are the ones who built this country. They're the ones who built everything that you drive your car to.
You're not giving the American people enough credit, sir. You think they need their hand held by the White House in order to find a job.
They don't.
When you know
they want to be able to
They're
work for a living and provide for their family.
Right
That's
now
what the American
trying to
people
figure
want.
out how to make a living. People like you are holding them back.
All right.
No, you're holding them back because you don't want to let them do their job.
You're right.
Oh, okay.
They should make horseshoes.
All right, let's go down
That's
to
all right.
Miami. Jonas.
The tax
Calm
code's
voice.
not holding them back because it's worth noting the working poor have a negative tax rate through the earned income tax credit. Getting back to the actual point, we were on a good trend in government where, yes, they were raising taxes on upper income people, and there were some spending cuts, and our deficit is a lot lower than it was a few years ago. That all got scrapped. We were going to now do the thing where they changed the Social Security formula. It was going to lower spending there, a big hole for government, and they were going to raise more taxes as a balance. That kind of deal making seems to be gone now. Now it's the old, I'll spend on the green initiatives, you get more defense spending kind of a budget, and that's where they meet in the middle. And that leads to more spending, which we can't afford. I think we can solve some of these problems with a revenue neutral way. You want to do green initiatives, raise energy taxes and lower income taxes to offset it. That'll discourage consuming energy and it'll encourage working. But you can't just spend money on credits here and then also have more defense spending to get other people to vote for it. That's the old way government works, and that's how you get big deficits.
John, are we ever going to break the cycle of debt if we increase spending? $56 billion.
We're not. That's the entire point. Nobody wants to deal with entitlements, and President Obama in this says he's not going to deal with entitlements based upon what he said. That is our problem. Look, we can cut discretionary spending. We can cut military spending to zero. We are still running a deficit in our country based upon entitlements and mandatory spending. Look, the reason manufacturing is starting to show a resurgence is because of fracking. Fracking brought down natural gas. That was an oil tax break given to an oil company. And we said, all these evil oil companies, let's cut out all their tax breaks. Okay, great, do it. You're going to save about $4 billion. President Obama says he's going to pay for this by closing loopholes. That is ridiculous. This is a hat trick that a magician is trying to pull. They're trying to pull the wool over America's eyes. It's not working.
Okay, Chuck, take on John.
Well, I don't ever want to take on John. Let me be clear about that right now. I do agree with a lot of what John has to say, is that there's enough blame to go around for everybody. And I think at the end of the day, it's just like when you handle your checkbook at home. You got to tighten your belt if there ain't enough money in the bank, but you also have to invest in the future to make sure you can make a living.
Okay, Tracy, are we investing?
That's the thing, though. I don't think we are. I think we are just giving it out, welfare checks all around, food stamps to whoever needs them these days. We're not actually telling people to go home and do something for this country. Technology's on the rise, man. Let's just go for it. Why do we have to have the White House to help us? We don't need them. Their job is to protect us as a nation. Don't cut defense spending, man. That's where I want them to spend money. I want you out of corporate America because, man, there are so many smart people out there that can do this on their own without the interference of the government. Gary B?
Well, when Chuck says we need to invest in America, that's lefty speak for the government spending more. Right. How about going about it the other way? How about cutting taxes and giving that money back to the American public so we can have the next Andrew Carnegie or Henry Ford, who, by the way, didn't need manufacturing initiatives to run and bring up some of the greatest corporations we've ever had. All
right, Jonas?
Oh, it's worth saying the new Andrew Carnegies are like this kid who just sold his app to Facebook for I will say his family was on welfare. It was on food stamps in this country. So there are cases where this leads to a future growth, prosperity in America. We also waste a lot of money, but it's not so obvious where the waste is going in the budget necessarily.
Okay, last word to Jonas. Thanks, guys. So he's known for dirty jobs, but now Mike Rowe's name is getting dragged through the mud by Walmart critics, all because he supports Walmart's plan to, get this, buy American-made goods. What's wrong with that? Neil's gang debating it. That's at the bottom of the hour. But up here first, the new study showing an Obamacare tax is about to make health care premiums spike. So is it any wonder Democrats are at a loss for words?
I thought the Affordable Health Care Act was to save $2,500 per family. What happened?